I think that one of our biggest shifts from this project that has occurred because we noticed more and differently has been in the way we write our assessment. Before this, we were unable to tell the stories that really celebrated 2-year-olds in the moment, or who are learning in ways that cannot be depicted in a linear manner. We now want to write memorable stories that families will remember, not stories that simply tick boxes. The stories that convey 2-year-olds as personalities that parents can recognise we now wish to pursue, but these often have got nothing to do with their goal. We've seen the linking over time, but does it really have to be then tagged to some long-term outcome? Can we just not celebrate this learning in the moment for what it is, not what it might become, or that we make it look like it can become? In the story, which I called Bird Watching and Wriggly Worms, I decided to write about the detailed language and dialogue Harry and I had about the birds. I wrote this story over a long period of time to show the significance of the bird watching through the telescope and the time that we spent together. This was an important intersubjective moment because I had to really listen carefully to what Harry was trying to tell me with the bird watching. He kept talking about the wriggly worms, and I thought maybe he might have been interested in the worm farm as we'd visited it most days. But after suggesting this, I clearly realised that this wasn't the case. He wanted to look through the telescope at the birds on this occasion and out to the field where the wriggly worms were. So it took a lot of effort on my part to really listen and watch his body language as well as his words to create an intersubjective moment. Throughout this research initiative, what we clearly noticed from watching the footage multiple times was that the haka took on different meanings in different contexts and with different people. So we noticed that he'd be doing the haka outside on the planks and climbing equipment with his friends, and they were pretending to be rugby players at that time, and it was more of a thing to imitate and copy off their friends. And again later on inside he did the haka, but it took on a whole new meaning when he sort of took a stance to say, no, I don't want my nose blown to Siobhan. And so it's not then the haka being a rugby player, it's saying, no, I don't want you to blow my nose. But then we also noticed he was doing the haka at other times, and it added a whole new meaning again. It might have been he'd climbed up to the top of the box, and it was him almost celebrating that he'd achieved it. And we also noticed him using it in transitions. So he'd stopped play inside and he did a haka move before then going out into a different genre. So we can see that his learning and his non-verbal language is very complex, and things happen over time. And so for us, the significance is always to pay more attention and to be talking with our colleagues and sharing snippets of information of things that are happening, because we can't be everywhere in all places at all times. It's impossible. So just sharing those snippets of information with each other and really stepping back and noticing what's happening more. Sometimes we're too busy, so by stepping back and observing more and sharing the information creates a bigger picture of that child and what they're trying to communicate and their different ways of communicating. It's significant for his learning because we can see how complex his non-verbal language is. So rather than just seeing him as a non-verbal child, he is actually a very complex communicator. And so we can celebrate his ability to be able to communicate not only with teachers but also his peers. We've noticed that our 2-year-olds often go against the grain. We've wondered whether we should have a new learning disposition called going against the grain. As we can see with Cameron in the haka, he's using this to go against the grain. We can see from the story that he is able to protect his play space through the use of the haka and exercise his agency. This research has allowed us to celebrate the 2-year-old and all that this means in our assessment and in our pedagogy. It is so much more than it was before.